Hey everybody, it is Justin, your guide into the Critters cult. I did manage to join another cult over the past couple of weeks. I just saw a lot of stuff about it. I've been trying to delve deeper into the Solana ecosystem, but of course, I picked one up that had the sick white sweater. That is me. I am it. And I would say I do love the timer at the top too. But you might be asking, what is Critters cult? And of course, I do have a story. So as always, Forgotten Runes Cult has a insane overlap of talent across all of the crypto community. And, I was reading through the TLDR for Forgotten Runes ecosystem. Every single week they drop a TLDR, and I saw Yigdal's profile, and I clicked on it, and I was like, that isn't a wizard. What is that? That looks like a that looks like a cultist. And I looked at his profile, I was like, is that a that's very consistent. That's oddly consistent. This has to be from the same project. Looks very oddly consistent, and it took me a while to find the project, but eventually I did find it, and it was the Critters cult. And there's at this point I knew there's a lot more than meets the eye, and I was right, because it's a sci-fi mystery by RGB0x00, and that caught my eye a little bit. And I saw these 4 links, and I clicked on the links, and I was immediately blasted by 4 rabbit holes that I'm going to briefly delve into in just a moment. But I just scrolled through, just absorbed the vibes, and I was like, wow, okay, there's a lot of stuff going on here. If that's one artist, they're extremely prolific, and they have a ton of amazing art. But I would say here is where I started. So we'll actually take a look at this trailer that was released on September 7th, 2022. So he's been insanely at work during this bear market. So hands down, the best art and founder that delivers the most is Critters Cult. And the artist RGB consistently sets out an art map plan and delivers according to that plan. So that's positive. The most recent announcement in the Critters universe is Myths of Broom, a trading card game. That blew my socks off, but that's kind of for the future. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But I wanted to start at the very beginning. What is this? Let's get the vibes. Let's figure out what's going on, because, okay, I saw this trailer and I was like, ooh, that's hot. So we'll just kind of watch it and just kind of go through it. But if you like, immediately I'm feeling like kind of creepy vibes. Oh yeah, it's culting time, and of course the detective over here. It has that certain 80s 90s like detective vibe to it. I don't know how to describe that era, but I guess we'll talk about it in just a moment. But I saw this and I was like, damn, okay, I'm in. Let's figure out what's going on, because there's a lot more things that I needed to kind of learn to get started. So, okay, finally, we got to the critterscult.com webpage, because this is where to get started. This kind of has your landing page of what the collection is, the project, the Loop Chronicles, the game, the Critters Cult book, as well as the library, which is the lore spine, essentially, and the FAQ. But we'll kind of go over everything in just a moment, but let's talk about the prologue. Let's just give a little bit of a story before we get started, just to get the feel of what you can kind of expect, because, again, all these things are very subjective, and of course, if this appeals to you, this is going to appeal to you. And if it doesn't, by all means. So again, far away in the fields of a town, which name no one recalls, rumor of unknown objects and spiral-like patterns appearing overnight are swirling around and emptying the streets. After the Puffbird Forest incident, signs of no trespassing have been seen more and more frequently beyond the surroundings of the research facility. At the diner shop, no clocks seem to be working. The waitress holds her head over her hands, waiting for her shift to be over. A long-bearded client murmurs, as if reading her mind, that they could be entering the blue hour, for no animal sounds can be heard outside. So cutting through the cold silence, a slow tempo waltz coming from the hotel's ballroom was still being played, although no one was left inside the masquerade ball. Two of the guests were missing and nowhere to be seen, and an eerie note left behind could be a clue of what led them deep into the woods. So again, that really does resonate with, the imagery and the visuals of the world that RGB is trying to create, especially, right as you see it, just driving through the night the night woods, and just so beautiful. You can kind of see this swirl at the very top here of the website. But if we take a look, you can kind of see more about the background, and this is kind of the vibe that we got from the the trailer from September 7th. Okay, anyways, I'm just gonna I'm gonna continue. Critters Cult is an indie experiment developed by Suns Studio under the same standards that drive all of RGB's pixel art creations, excelling at the craft of pixel art. And, it brings together people who share the same passion. And we kind of see an evocative sci-fi mystery as the title, for visual narratives and nostalgic pixel art aesthetics. So again, it has that, influence in 80s and 90s aesthetic, conspiracy theories, LucasArts adventure games, and Stephen King, David Lynch, and Steven Spielberg works. This first stage is set in a small town and its population dealing with bizarre events that defy reason and shift reality. So it's a world-building fiction that evolves into a complex universe with its own logic and laws. And I would say, the deeper in the rabbit hole that you get, it goes very, very deep very quickly. So I just want to give you a forewarning. So again, the collection is it basically, this is the origin it's the PFP collection. So a collection driven by an artistic storytelling. So it's built around 10 plus critters and hundreds of traits that belong to one of the 5 existing realms. And this kind of ties together and smashes a lot of really popular fantasy sci-fi vibes and themes together. There's the myth punk, a pre-industrial and alchemist society, puts together a lot of societies like steampunk, a gas lamp Victorian horror gear society. Oh, I love that. There's also diesel punk, which is a noir. I can't say that word, guys. I'm sorry. A noir, World War II occultist society, atom punk, a sci-fi nuclear power space travel society, and then, of course, cyberpunk, very popular, dystopian megacorps and hackers future. So, a kind of season 1, the narrative development will depart from the atom punk realm, which is the sci-fi nuclear power space travel society, creating links with other realms throughout the project. So, it seems like we're going to start with a single storyline, moving into other realms and kind of expanding on that. And we'll talk about how that will work in the project. And it seems like there are 3 phases. The first phase was the development and launch of a collection of profile pictures. So that was just the critters, right? And the second phase, which begins immediately following the collection launch, the visual narrative behind Critters Cult will be further explored through the strategy game Loop Chronicles, as well as various art creations that will promote the project and grow the community like the Critters Cult. So there's spin-offs in fantasy series. And again, Loop Chronicles, if you have a critter, you can definitely play it. I'll definitely just try to open it right here. I'm going to save it for another video, so you'll have to wait for that because I don't want to make this video 40 minutes long. I don't know what to expect. I haven't done this before. So, of course, if you have a critters, feel free to do that. But let's just kind of continue. Additionally, new developments will be made to expand the lore, narrative, and world building of the Critters verse through the Critters book. So the book is very similar. Okay, so what is it? It's a collaborative compendium where players can add their own lore to their critters, which is very similar to, if you're familiar with Forgotten Runes, this is going to be, like breathing. You can see everything about the critters. Hopefully, I'll just have to reload this page. But basically, it'll have everything about your critter. You can write your own lore. It's very similar to the Book of Lore and Forgotten Runes. It has everything about your critter and has your author and I think you can connect your Twitter. So if you like building lore, you can do that. So if we move on, let me try to find where I was at. And the library. So basically, the library is an official source of information about the Critters verse, and all these elements will serve as source material and to be used in the world building for the next collection, Sun's Saga, which is already released. So the next thing on the board that we can wait for, we'll talk about that in just a moment, the TCG game. But Sun Saga will push the narrative and complexity of Critters Cult even further. And for more information on these developments, check out the art map V3. V4 is also out, so I'll try to link that as well. But again, oh man, let's just kind of talk about the Critters Cult principle. So I know I already covered stuff about the lore and the narrative. Narrative is really important. So I'll go off a segue and say I'm really, really positive on projects that can take use and build upon the foundation that they set for themselves and the NFTs that they put onto the blockchain, right? You know, you guys doing this with, you know, all of its collections. Forgotten Runes is doing it with their wizards. And, you know, RGB is doing this with his Critters verse, you know, the Critters, the Sun Saga, Nodescapes, and all the other projects as well. You know, combining that into an ecosystem that just gets stronger and stronger over time is extremely bullish, in my opinion. I'm super excited for that. So we'll talk about those things in just a moment. So narrative. Critters Cult Foundation is the dynamic narrative that composes a project and brings the community together. Very compelling. Very compelling. The world building is out of this world. Innovation. So this kind of refers to the myths of Broom. All stages are intended to push forward the traditional way of making a narrative project, embrace the new features from Web 3.0. So we'll talk about the TCG in just a moment. We'll briefly skim over it. And of course, world building, you know, further developments beyond what is currently settled. And they'll talk about Sun Studios, which establishes the long-term community around high-quality art and rewards holders support with exclusive RGB creation. So that's super exciting as well. Again, there's a frequently asked questions thing here, so you can kind of see the team behind it, who is RGB, what's the supply, and a lot more things about the project. But let's move over to the Suns Studio. So sunstudio.com is your place to find everything about the collections from the gallery, Soul Sunsets, Critters Cult itself, the Suns of Sega, Nodescapes, and then there's also the world building, such as the library, and it has everything about the, you know, the lore. There's a gazillion things to go over, guys. I'm sorry, but it's just like multiple rabbit holes within rabbit holes. But let's just take a look at the collection. So I think probably like not. I didn't think that. Okay, someone's sweeping this right now, but last time I checked, it was like 1.7, but it's sitting at about 2 Sol right now. So by all means, you can take a look and see one that appeals to you. There's a lot of types from the Simia. There's some that look like Yoda. I do like the ones that have the the actor face. Kind of reminds me of the troll face, but I can't find one that is in front of me right now. But I would say. Some of these look really good. Like the gradient and the color, the variety between all of them are very nice in my opinion. Like, Jesus. But if we keep moving on, I think the other collection that you could take a look at is the Suns Saga. And this is basically an expansion that kind of shows a little bit more of the world. It has a lot of beautiful... I don't even know what to say, guys. There's just so much beautiful art here. And I think it does have an explanation over the gradient colors. I'm totally at Prisma. It kind of shows. Anyways, I'm getting too deep into the weeds. But if you take a look at the Suns Sega collection, I would say they sit about around 1.8 right now. And all of them are insanely nice. Again, it's a generative collection. So, but it kind of expands the world in a way that is really unique. Like you could just make one of these your Twitter banner and you'd be totally A-okay. I know a lot of critters, cultists tend to just make their PFP their critter and then they're good for their Twitter banner as well. So, 2 for 1, like that's super nice. They all look different. They all look amazing. The color scheme is just so good. I really do like, there's like some really nice ones here. Oh my God. I love the ones that have reflection with the pyramids, like just insane. Like I'm just kind of geeking out about the art, but again, the way that RGB like makes each of these feel different, especially with the color gradients and the way that they portray the realms inside the world is just really nice. And of course, all of this can trace back to the library, right? And the library represents the official lore, the repository with all the canonical information about the Critters Cult and Sons at Sega universe. So if you enter the library, it'll give you this really nice introduction. The library serves as the reference center for all canonical information in the universe, and it's been meticulously gathered for the librarian's canon, which encompasses the writing of the poet. And it kind of has a lot of stuff, but, from the cosmos, the way that, the laws in the universe work. There's a lot of really beautiful art here and a lot of lore. There's way more things that I could really expand into on this video. Otherwise, it's going to get really, really long. So I won't. I'm just going to briefly skim through it. It's just, there's a lot. But I would say something that's more personal that you could really kind of relate to is if you're looking for a Critters Cult, right? It's going to have certain traits. Of course, this one is also a simian. This one right here, let me actually pull it up. You can basically see, hey, it's a simia. The creature is simia, so you can go take a look at the library. You can take a look at the creatures here. You can kind of scroll down. If you're looking for simia, it'll give you the characteristics of what this character is like, what these characters are like, what they like to do. So if you want to essentially embody your Critters Cult, you feel free to kind of take a look at the creatures, the classes, the legendary ones as well. They have, they have pretty historical critters inside of the universe thus far. And then also there are cults inside of the Critters Cult too. There's a lot of them. There are magical cults. There are oh my god, that looks crazy. There are some really nice looking ones here. I don't even know. There's this rabbit hole goes so freaking deep. I can't explain it in one video. You'll just have to dive into the rabbit hole yourself. But by all means, this kind of goes over as much as I really can in a brief, shallow pool of as much as I don't know how to explain it, guys. There's 5 rabbit holes to go into. But personally, I would just start by taking a look at, Magic Eden, seeing what you like, seeing the collection, and then just starting from there, probably referencing, the library as well. But by all means, you can definitely check out. Oh shit! I can't stop the video yet. I still have to talk about the TCG. This is what's coming for 2024. This is what I'm actually the most excited for. Damn, I can't end the video yet. Jesus Christ! Sorry guys, if it's going too long, but we're gonna keep talking about it. So RGB, on this day, 31 years ago. This post was January 17th. So on this day, 2 days ago, Finney sent a message to the Cyberpunk mailing list, marking the first ever mention to the crypto trading card game and foreseeing the combination of a devotion for collecting with the possibilities that blockchain has to offer. And nothing proves more suitable than CNFTs for this endeavor. Its affordability in minting, storing, and transferring makes it the perfect medium for widespread distribution of digital cards at low cost. So again, Mists of Broom is a trading card game set within the same narrative background as Critters Cult and Sons of Sega, known as the Log. And over the course of 2 years, the Log has continuously expanded to new heights and will reach a milestone with Myths of Broom. So again, they have a blueprint. RGB posted a white paper, and I would say Myths of Broom is probably really exciting for me, mainly because, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, this will appeal to you. Because personally, I got into Magic the Gathering because of the art, the world building, the story, the emotional connection that you have to the IP and the world at large. And I would say that RGB is a master at doing this with Critters Cult. And there's a lot to be explored here. He has a really good foundation to build upwards and outwards. So I'm extremely bullish on this. But why don't we drop into the blueprint for an NFT trading card game on Solana? So again, if you are on Solana, this is probably exciting too. But I would say the most important thing here, I'm just going to scroll over to... Yeah. In addition to Critters Cult, PFP Collections, and Sun Sega, several other developments have significantly contributed to the world building of the Log. The Loop Chronicles, the decision-making card game, which I'll have a video in a moment, probably later, we'll see. And the Critters book, an interactive platform for holders to add stories of their own, so Book of Lore. The library, so again, just the repository of all of the lore foundations for the Log. And again, I'm getting too deep into the weeds. But we're gonna do it anyways. So I would say I would scroll down. I would read through all of the game basics, gameplay, cards. But if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, I mean resources, permanents, attachments, plots, ephemerals. It roughly translates over in your head, and then you can kind of see everything from resource cost, the type, the name, the attack, the defense, blocking, as well as instructions. So pretty standard trading card game. Very similar. You'll kind of get it if you take a look at it. Again, Mr. Broom will have 300 cards in total. Entities, locus, actions, of course, all the cards that have been explained inside of the white paper. But again, you can kind of see, man, I'm excited. I already know how this is gonna go. This is so exciting. My wallet's gonna be bleeding, boys. But again, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. Personally, you can kind of take a look at all what the cards do. Their actions. What I'm going too deep into the weeds. But they also have, I guess, an online game interface. So I guess this is kind of what it looks like. There's a homepage. I guess there's going to be places where you can play, you can train, you can start match, you can build decks, you can have rankings as well. This is just kind of how the UI will work and look. But again, it's just a white paper, so feel free to take a look and kind of scroll through everything. But rankings is going to be cool. We're going to be playing ranked Myths of Broom. But again, I don't get too deep into the weeds. I already know this video is like 20 minutes long. It's a pretty long video. But again, I'm so excited for Critters Cult as a whole. The world building is just out of this world. It's something else that you should probably keep on your radar if this type of aesthetic appeals to you. But again, I'll try to have all the links in the description. I hope you like this video. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me create more content. I'll try to have much coming. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the Critters Cult. Peace.